Hello. Today I'm going to talk about Impossible and Beyond meats and whether they're healthy or not for you. As most of you probably know, Beyond and Impossible are really the market leaders in creating plant-based meats that mimic how beef looks and tastes. They produce like a juiciness and a browning as it cooks, just like beef. Their texture is similar. And when seasoned and covered in like cheese and other toppings, it's kind of hard to tell the difference between Beyond or Impossible and the real thing. So in that regard, it is a great alternative for anyone who's trying to give up meat for, let's say, like ethical or environmental reasons, but wants to keep the taste and the texture of meat. However, if you're moving to Beyond or Impossible for health reasons, you may want to look a little closer at the ingredients. There's an interesting chart from an article published by the Harvard Medical School that compares some of the key ingredients. And a couple of the key takeaways I'm going to go over right now. So, both real meat, real ground meat, and the Impossible Beyond options have similar fat content. Um, but more importantly, to look at saturated fat is around the same, and actually Impossible has a higher level of saturated fat, which is not great. You would hope that if you were transitioning to a plant-based meat, that the saturated fat wouldn't be that high. And because saturated fat, I'll link a study from the Cleveland Clinic. There's an article that talks about how saturated fat is what leads to LDL, which is the bad cholesterol, and could, ultimately lead to artery diseases. The recommendation is to kind of avoid it, not avoid it, but just limit your saturated fat. And so that's, I just wanted to point that out. And you can do your own research to see what you think about saturated fat. But like I said, I'm going to link some articles about that. The protein levels are about the same, which is great. The plant-based options do have more fiber, which is great. But the big outlier here is the sodium. Beyond and Impossible have a lot of sodium compared to regular beef, real beef. This is not great news for anyone with high blood pressure, and really not great news for anyone in general. No one should really be taking in a lot of sodium. It's not good for you. Like after looking at a bunch of different articles, which I'll just keep saying, I'm going to link some of these articles below. It looks like Beyond and Impossible meats aren't really any, I guess, worse for you than real beef. But if you're hoping to have them be a healthier option, I'm not sure that's the case either. And actually, if sodium intake is an issue for you, you might just want to stay clear. I'll admit personally, I've been trying to reduce my red meat to kind of transition away from it, and I have actually really enjoyed the Beyond and Impossible options. I actually have a great recipe for a Beyond meatloaf that I'll link in the description here. So I do think they're decent options for someone who is trying to transition away from the actual beef. And, I think it's one of those things that's probably best to make it a once in a while treat instead of a staple of your diet. Looking again at that chart above, the healthiest beef alternatives would be going to something like a turkey burger or a black bean burger. They both have significantly lower saturated fats. And actually, if you're looking to just give up meats, I guess black bean burger would be a great option. And actually, I have a recipe that I'll link to making your own black bean burger, because store-bought black bean burgers, you run into that same issue with sodium. But if you make it yourself, you can control that. Like I said, I'll have a link to that. The one problem with the black bean burger is no one's going to mistake it for real beef. Take it for, take this information in and make your own decision. Like I said, I do enjoy the Impossible and the Beyond, but I kind of limit, to every once in a while instead of something that I have all the time. So I hope this information was informative. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments. Thanks.